It's that wealth in the kitchen. Ooh, giving that wisdom passed down from generation to generation. A little nugget. They say experience is the best teacher, but I say experience can be the teacher of fools, because a wise man will look to see what another man does to see what he will choose. That wealth in the kitchen. Is our wealth in the kitchen.
Welcome to Wealth in the Kitchen podcast, brought to you by Wealth in the Kitchen Productions. I am your host, Lula Conley. Welcome back. If you are returning, you already know what to expect. If this is your first time joining the podcast, hey, it's going to be good. You in for a treat. You're going to enjoy it. I hit a milestone, and I'm excited to share it with my Wealth in the Kitchen family. I finished season 1 of the podcast, last episode, and now I'm going into season 2. And I was really kind of thinking about, like, how do I want to enter into season 2 of the podcast? And what I decided that I wanted to do is this episode and the next episode is going to kind of be like an intermission type. And then the next one after those two will actually kind of push me into what I want to do with season 2. So, hey, I appreciate y'all rocking with me, hanging with me, listening to me, leaving comments and all of that good stuff. But I thought for this one, and look, I haven't really eaten all day, so y'all gonna have to watch me chew on some grapes and drink some water while I'm doing this. I thought it would be good take you on the journey that I went on when God was telling me to, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to step out on faith, and some of the ups and downs of it, some of the frustrations, some of the excitement, the joy, and then I'm gonna out of the 12 episodes of season 1, I'm gonna name my top 3, the ones I really enjoyed doing. Well, I enjoyed doing all of them, but there were a few that I really liked. Just really was a blessing to me. That's what we're gonna do with this one. It's just kind of, so basically this is actually like one just Wealth in the Kitchen nugget extended, really. And I think I remember saying this a little while back but I was just saying how sometimes God can show you something, or you can do something, but you don't really have the confidence to sustain it. You don't have the confidence to kind of keep pushing forward in it. You can start it, but you won't finish. And I was just saying how God, the things that I had gone through, it really, this podcast is been birthed out. So it's like, once the baby's coming, it's coming. Once the baby is out, the baby is out. You got to take care of it. You got to nurture it. You got to feed it. You got to clean it. I feel like the podcast was birthed out, and now the responsibility of maintaining it is what God is walking me through. And it was really things that were already sitting inside of me. The things that I talk about, they've been there. I think God just was like, okay, you're ready now for me to kind of just kick you out of the nest. It's time for you to start flapping your wings and learn how to fly. A lot of times when you grow up in church, you kind of see the ranks of how things go. When you have a calling on your life, or you're gifted, they kind of bring you along, and you step into this level, you get out there, you step up some more, and they put you out there some more, and then you kind of take on off. I felt like I kept hitting and missing. Like I would get here and then stagnant, and then here, then stagnant, and it's just like, okay, I don't know, how this thing works, but I'm gonna just keep seeking God. And that's really what I was doing. I just kept seeking God and seeking God and seeking God. And just behind the scenes, I know that God was healing me, and he was purifying me. He was purging me. He was cleaning me out, and he was taking me along these journeys. And I knew that I was growing in the Lord. And the funny thing is, sometimes when you think when your surroundings don't necessarily change, but it was always this place where even though things kind of look the same, but I know I'm growing in God. I know I'm expanding my capacity to handle things or deal with things. And that's why one thing I will say is I learned that you can never judge where you are, in a sense, by your surroundings. You can never judge where you are, in a sense, by what you have or don't have, because you can have a little and be so anointed. You can have much and don't have no anointing at all. And people will, because of what you have, they'll put you up here and think you're this powerhouse in God, and you really ain't. And then, because you have little, they'll put you down here, but you the one that's casting out them demons and casting out, the spirit of the enemy. And the one thing I learned is that this microphone and an iPad and recording and posting is that I had to do what I have always done, which is seek God, because there's nothing in my life that's going to make sense outside of God. There's nothing in my life that's going to be of value outside of God. There's nothing that I want if it does not come from within the boundaries of what God has given me. And that was something, and a declaration I made years ago, because I realized that through the word of God, only that you do for the Lord is going to last anyways. So it's like you do a whole lot of stuff and then it just fades away. It's just a vapor in the wind. I just remember I at 45, it was like God kicked down the walls of self-preservation. And that's when you have those walls up that you've built from hurt and trauma and all those things, and you're functioning. You're like a functioning dysfunctional person. So you're going along and going along, and I just remember, one day God just all the walls came crashing down, and I'm like, God, what do I do with this? Because this is a lot. I was in a sense bucking against the system. So I'm giving you the backstory that's going to give you how I ended up with a podcast. Like I was saying, okay, Lord, you didn't kick down the doors, and now this self-preservation place is wide open, because I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, I'm mad, I don't, and it wasn't I was mad at God, but it's like I'm mad at, because a lot of things the enemy will keep hidden and keep closed off, and you think that your issue is this big. And so you're like, "Oh God, go ahead. You can have that. Just take it. It's I don't need that. I don't have to have that." And God's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to touch it right now." And so I'm seeking God, and I'm telling God, "Okay, God, you can have it." And like I said, I'm bucking against the system, because I'm just like, I done prayed, I done fasted, I done told you can have it, God. Take it. And he wouldn't take it. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense, because I've done everything that the church has told me to do. And don't get me wrong, fasting, praying, seeking God, giving it to God, those things do work. In this scenario, God told me this is going to be a process, because the thing that you are giving me, it has been intertwined in you since a child. And because it's so intertwined in you, I have to go in and unravel it. Once I realized that, it was like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to. It's like you gotta settle in and buckle up your seatbelt, because it's gonna be a long ride. I just really begin to seek God and seek God and seek God. And when I tell you, it was a journey. When you think it's something this small, God sees everything around it. When what I thought was this small, and God kicked in, took the walls down, it was gigantic. And that's what was frustrating me, is because I saw everything that I did not see before. And God opened my eyes, and I'm like, whoa. And that was the, what do I do with this? And it's like I had to get to a place where I did not panic, because when walls come down, a lot of things are exposed. And there are things that are exposed that you thought you had let go of, you thought you didn't want anymore, you thought there was no desire for anymore, and you realize that without the walls, I will run to it. My flesh wants it. I could not have started a podcast at 45 because I was not ready for it. God could not have trusted me um with this platform. Just simply, well, I will say maybe 2 years before I started it, I would have been okay, because I was preparing for it. But there was just so much there that God needed to orchestrate, and God needed to deal with, and God needed to dig up and get out of me. And I had to be at a place where there was a total surrenderance to God. That there was a place where if God says, if I'm going to trust you with something, then I need to make sure that when I say no, the answer is no. When I tell you to go, you're going to go. When I tell you to stay, you're going to stay. When I tell you to be still, you're going to be still. You're not going to override my counsel and just do what you want to do. And so that's why I say, when something is birthed out, it's different than just doing it. Because honestly, there has been so much warfare that I have gone through just to get the episodes out. And I'm just like, what in the world? But and I thought about it. I said, if I was just pushing out foolishness, if I was just pushing out a bunch of nonsense and just being silly and just doing something that really wasn't leading people to Christ, I don't think I would have any warfare at all. Maybe a little, but I don't think um, I would battle and go through a lot of the things I go through. Because when you're pushing stuff that's not necessarily leading anyone to Christ, or it's just foolishness, the enemy is already there. So why is he going to combat what he already has his hand in? Right? Okay. I went on this 6.5 year journey of God purifying and purging and cleaning me out. And sometimes you just don't know. You think because you grew up in the church that you're going to go the traditional route. You think this is the way it's mapped out, and this is what I have to do or how I have to get there. I was sitting on the couch, and it was as if God just, like in the Bible it says he parted the Red Sea. It was like he just parted this thing in me, and I saw a clear path. And he said, "You have a phone, you have a camera, um, you got a voice. I've called you, I've gifted you. Record." And it was like every obstacle or everything that I thought, or every pathway I thought I had to go through, and I had to do it this way. It was like none of that. It was just me and God, and he's like, "You'll record tomorrow." And I'm like, "Record?" And he was like, "No, we're gonna do this." Even though the name of the podcast is Wealth in the Kitchen, if you go back and look at some of my shorts, or if you look at some of the things that I recorded, I was recording in my bathroom because I'm like, okay, the irony is it's Wealth in the Kitchen podcast, but I'm making my videos out of the bathroom, because that was the time frame. I said, okay, I got to do this. So when do I have time to do it? So I just started recording, getting prepared for work. So I'd be in the bathroom and doing my makeup and just talking, and And I knew that it was something that I had to be committed to. I knew that it was something that I had to be consistent with. And there were days I did not want to record. And I just was like, I'll get around to it. And the Lord was like, so you just not gonna record today? You just not gonna post nothing? You just gonna quit? And I'm just like, I mean, God will talk to you like that. He will. He do. Because that's how he was talking to me. And so I was just like, okay, let me get up and get this thing together. Um, and so I was just being consistent with recording and consistent with posting the shorts. So then I started to take it a little more serious, and I said, okay, God is doing something. So let me kind of lock in and focus. And so from there, I started kind of brainstorming with one of my big brothers in the Lord. Shout out to James. You know who you are, Cowan. That's my big bro from back in the 90s when he had hair and I had a jerry curl. And so I would meet with him, me and my husband, and we'd go out to breakfast and just kind of talk and brainstorm. I'd tell him my ideas, and he would kind of be giving me direction and clarity on how to do this and trademark this and take care of this. And so I started doing that. But this is all while we were dealing with a house fire. So I we were displaced. We were in temporary housing, and I said, okay, once we get back in our home, then I'll actually start the podcast, because I didn't want to start it in the temporary house. I wanted to be in our own home, our own kitchen, and just kind of be familiar and just be in my own space. Got back in our house, I said, okay, it's time to do it. So I started praying and just kind of ramping up my thought process of what I wanted to do. And at first, if you go back and look at, I think the first few episodes, I seemed like I was real serious, because I I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew, turn the camera on, girl, and talk, and God is with you, And I really kind of just formulated it like I do my Sunday school lessons, my wake up call lessons, what we call them with the adults, where I study, I get an outline, I know what I'm going to talk about, I'm praying, and then I bring it. And but the Lord was just kind of giving me advice, giving me, hey, do it like this, don't do this, talk about this. And then the one thing, this is one thing I learned, is that when God gives you something to steward, that's just it. You are stewarding it, but it belongs to Him. Because I was talking to someone, and they were telling me that they like the podcast, and I was thinking about maybe doing a part two to it, or this or that. But God had already kind of given me what to do for the next one, but I was gonna backtrack. And then when I was backtracking and kind of looking into it, and the Holy Spirit was like, no, don't change what I have told you to do. You can't just go rogue on this. I have a plan and a purpose of how I'm doing things or orchestrating things. So don't get sidetracked in conversation, and then you shift from what you're supposed to be doing to do something different. So that was one thing that I said, okay, I got to stay focused and stay focused on what God is saying. And then sometimes there were just days where my mind seemed to just be blank. And I'm like, Lord, what am I going to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? And it would seem like I'm skating in there on the day of recording, and then the Lord will drop something in my spirit. And I'm like, okay. The other thing is making sure that your atmosphere in the home or wherever you're podcasting, whatever you're doing, just making sure the atmosphere is created. And like I said, I ain't ate really, so y'all gonna have to watch me chew on these grapes. Um, that might be loud in the microphone. I didn't think about that. So just making sure that your atmosphere is good, because I remember one day I was about to record and me and my husband had a disagreement, and I'm trying to figure out what are we what is going, like, the atmosphere was just off. And so, he went on doing whatever he was doing. I was doing what I was doing. I'm like, okay, just let me record. Like, I was recording and talking, but when I went back and replayed it, like, I could not put it out. Like, even though I sounded good and I sounded fine, but my countenance was down. Like you would look at it and be like, "What's wrong with her?" And it was just like, scrap that. And so I was praying, and the Lord was just like, "Go get it right with your husband. Go, y'all talk and get it right." And once we did that, everything was good. It's kind of like I know it, but to feel it in the moment is just basically make sure you keep the atmosphere clean. Make sure you do what is necessary, that when you are doing what you're doing, that you're at peace with it and you're fine with it, and you're not doing something and another spirit is there that's coming out. So another thing is that when God is orchestrating something and he is setting it up, you really have to be intentional. You got to make sure that this is what you're committed to. You got to make sure that you're intentional about how you're doing things and how you're orchestrating things and how you set up your spiritual disciplines to make sure that you're functioning how you're supposed to function. And then, I don't even really look at the subscriber number. Like, I look at it because I'm excited. I want it to grow. I want to reach more people. But then I got to thinking, the more people you're reaching, the more of a responsibility you have to make sure that you are lined up with God, to make sure that you are integral, to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that you're not spewing out nonsense and foolishness and half-baked stuff to your audience. Because I look at it as a family. These are whoever is subscribing. I look at it like this is who God is putting in my path and putting me in their path. And so I take that seriously. I'm not just trying to get a bunch of people to listen to me. I'm not just trying to say, "Oh, I got all these subscribers." No, because I'm responsible for what I put into to the Wealth in the Kitchen family's ears. I'm responsible for what I put into their mind that will either cause them to seek the Lord or cause them to turn away from the Lord. And that's on me. And so I don't, however the Lord is growing this, it will be at his time, it will be by his hands and by his spirit. I'm not going to do anything to bring any acclaim or anything to myself to say, "Oh, well, how can I get more subscribers?" or "How can I do this, this, this?" It's going to be at God's hands. Now, I will let a little bit of the cat out the bag. I am at some point going to do a subscriber giveaway. So those that I noticed that there is private subscribers where I can't see who's subscribed, and then there's public subscribers where I can see who is subscribing. So when I get ready to do the giveaway, I would, if you want to be a part of it, you're gonna have to open up your subscriber thing so I can see you, because that's the only way that I'm gonna know how to put you into the pot to pull your name or whatever. If not, and you're satisfied with kind of staying private, I understand, no pressure. But at some point, I'm going to be doing a Wealth in the Kitchen podcast giveaway with like kitchen stuff. So, but that's not to gain subscribers. That's just to kind of say, hey, thank you. It's an appreciation thing or whatnot. But that's a little bit down the road. But I'm gonna do that. So the other thing is that some of the joys of podcasting and stepping out on faith in this is just simply the fact that God called me, that God chose me, that God can say, okay, I can trust you to do this. And there are days where I get excited because I'm just like, man, I'm excited because I try not to go too far ahead, but I do want to look around the corner a little bit and just be like, man, what's around the corner? Like I'm looking forward to seeing what God does. Just the hand of God moving. You know, His word says, "Eyes have not seen, nor ear heard, nor have it entered into the heart of man the things that God has prepared for them that love Him." And I look forward to that because, and then it says that, but we that are His, in a sense, we He's already revealed those things to us. And there are things in my spirit. There's a things that I've seen in dreams. There are things that I was like, okay, God, I like stuff is making sense to me that I saw 15 years ago. Stuff that was in my spirit when I was a little girl. And it's like now at at this point I see God moving and I see Him doing things, and it's like, okay, I see that now. I see where He's going. I see how He's orchestrating that. Wow, I didn't even know how to get to that. I didn't even know that this is like I didn't know that my calling would take the podcasting route. you know um but that's how the Lord is bringing me to people that I wouldn't normally meet or see. It's just the joy, in a sense, is just watching God move, just watching God work, just watching God in the details of my life. Because sometimes when you have gone through a lot, you can feel like you've been forgotten. And it's not that God forgets about you, but sometimes when you're on the backside of the desert, in a sense, where you know that you feel the call and you feel the tug and you feel the pull and you want to go, and then when you're going, sometimes God will kind of tap you and say, hey, I know you're making progress, I know you're out here, but I need you to just come sit right here with me for a little while. And you're like, but God, I'm going, I'm doing it. He's like, I know, but I just need you to come sit with me for a little bit, because that's another time of being still and growing, and then understanding that there are levels to what God is doing that you don't know how to navigate, you don't know how to orchestrate, and you got to be taught how to move and how to maneuver and how to walk and be in and out amongst the people. Like, you got to know how to gain the confidence that you need to walk into the open doors that God is calling you to walk into. So, like, just the whole journey of what I'm doing is up and down. It's up and down. Like, I absolutely understand and know I'm not just going to do this on my own. It's never gonna be just me doing it on my own. And then too, at the same time, with where I'm at now, God is putting different people in my life. And that's the one thing that I've learned, that for every like step of the way and every season and journey of the journey that I'm on, um God has always put somebody in my life and connected me with somebody to kind of just help me along. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm really appreciative for that. Realizing that everybody is not going to follow you where you are. Like, some people are in your life for a season. Some people are in your life for a lifetime. Some people are in your life just for that moment or that day to drop something in your spirit, and then they gone. You know, and then for me, navigating how to let go when someone has been there for so long, and God is saying, okay, but they can't go here, so you have to kind of cut it right here. And I for me at times, and I've said this, so if you're watching and you heard it before, just hear it again. Like, if I'm loyal to you, I'm loyal to you. And sometimes it could be to a fault because I'm committed. I honor what you have done in my life, or what God has blessed you to do in my life. But then there's a time where God is saying, okay, I'm going to, now you have to let go and move forward, because whatever I bless them to do in your life, I am their reward. I am the one that rewards them. And though you honor them and you respect them and whatnot, but don't try to hold on and take on my position of what I'm going to do for them because of how they were a blessing to you. You go on and keep moving. And so, and then, there are times where I just have to take a sabbatical. And I have to just get to myself and get to the Lord, and not run ahead of him in the journey. Not run ahead of him and think because I've done season 1 or I've done a few things that, oh, I know how to navigate this now. Because I don't. Because I don't know, other than turning on that iPad and the microphones and setting up and this and that and talking. Yeah, I could do that, but I don't want to just be talking to be talking. I don't want to just be saying a bunch of stuff that isn't relevant or isn't piercing, your heart to motivate or encourage you to seek the Lord. I mean, but the journey has been good, and just getting comfortable. I done a thing that I was serious about the Lord. I was serious about the assignment. I was serious about him calling me and choosing me. So I didn't want to do anything to dishonor God or dishonor the call. So, but at the same time, as I was going along, the Lord began to tell me, he was just like, just relax. It's okay to show your personality. And I'm like, God, which personality? Because it is not that I have split personalities. Don't take it that far. It's not that deep. But what I'm saying is, I know how I can be when I relax and I settle into a place, and it's like, okay, let's go. I'm like, okay, God, how much of me are you saying that I can give? So I'm just saying, y'all might see a little different side of me here and there. So, but it's gonna be good. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. Yeah, you're gonna like it. I want to talk about my out of the 12 episodes that I did, what my favorite 3 are. I'm gonna go from 3 to 1. Number 3, I'm gonna go with episode 1, because that was the one where I talked about, does God like me? Because like I said, I thought it was very, 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 very important for people to understand that God likes you. And we sometimes see God through the lens of our trauma, through the lens of hurt, through the lens of people that have wronged us. Quite a few people have said, just in conversation, like, yeah, I know God loves me, but I don't think God likes me. And I'm just like, why would you think that? I thought that was a very good episode to do, to just, for people just to realize that God really does like you. It's not, God doesn't love you because he has to love you. He loves you because you are his creation. You are his child. You are who he put his breath in. That's powerful. He put breath in your body, Christ-like. His spirit is in you. He likes you. Just take it. Take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it is. Number 2, is, oh man, see, number 2 is a toss up between the one I just did with the house fire and then Esau and Jacob. How Esau sold his birthright for some lentils, and how his brother tricked him out of the blessing, and then his brother ended up going to stay with his uncle because he's fleeing Esau, and then Jacob ran into a bigger trickster than he was. So it's like in life, you're gonna always meet your match. Whatever you throw out there, you're gonna find somebody that can throw it a little bit harder than you. So I don't know. That's a talking about the house fire really just reminded me of God's goodness and God's grace and His mercy towards us. I don't know, but I really like the story of Esau and Jacob. Like it was a lot. It was a lot there. You know what? I'm gonna just split it. I'm gonna do 50-50. 50 with Esau and Jacob. Don't sell your birthright. And 50 with the house fire and how God did that. So yeah, I'll do it like that. And the number 1 spot, the last one I just did, generational curses. I think so far that is my favorite one. I always go back and listen to all of the podcasts I do, but that one I listen to the most. And one, I had my daughter on there with in the kitchen segment, so I thought I loved doing that with her. That was cool. But just in terms of going back and listening to what I was saying and listening to the things that God had just was bringing out of my spirit, it's really been blessing me, because this is normally how God does things with me. Whatever I talk about, minister about, preach about, either I've already walked it out, I'm walking it out, or I'm about to walk it out. So it's never something that I'm talking about that I'm disconnected from. And the generational curse the generational curse episode, it's personal to me, and I've been listening to it, and it's still blessing me, and it's still, you know it, but you don't know the magnitude of it. You don't know the depth of it. And there are just some things that God will require of you and call you on, that if you gonna do it, you're gonna have to say yes. Then you're gonna have to say yes to the obedience of the way He wants you to walk it out. Because if I could walk out certain things a certain way, then hey, yeah, I could do that. But God's like, nah, you're gonna have to do it this way. You're either gonna do it or you're not. So that's kind of how I ended up doing a podcast, and am still doing a podcast. So it's work. It's work. And that's what I'll say. It's whatever I'm doing to do it, it's worth it. And I know that God got me, because He's training me and He's talking to me. And the one thing I will say, that for all who feel like God is calling you to something, and you feel like God is calling you to do something that seems impossible, it's not impossible with God. With God, all things are possible. And the very thing that I realize is the things that I have prayed about when in my 20s, the things that I talked to the Lord about in my 30s, the things that God was showing me as a little girl in my dreams, and God is now beginning to take me in that direction. It's not even so much seeking God to get to the things that you have prayed about your gifts or your callings, or you want to do this, you want to do that. It's like you going on this journey. You going on this journey to crucify your flesh. You're going on this journey to get you out of the way, because God is not raising up flesh. You going on that journey so you can submit to God. And then when he opens those doors, you don't run in the door, slam it, lock it, throw the key away, and say I made it, and you done left God outside on the opposite end of things. I don't know, but I think you can follow it. But it wasn't an easy path to get here, but it was a path that was worth taking. Because I do believe that I said some things that will just give you some ideas or give you some clarity or some understanding in your own journey, your own walk with the Lord. And whatever you do for God, it will last. Make sure it's what he told you to do. Don't just go picking up a bunch of stuff trying to do it and put the Lord name on it, because that ain't how it works. Let God stamp it and then you go. Don't you stamp it and bring it to him and then be mad when it don't work out. Think about it, pray about it, and when you get your answer, absolutely be about it. God bless you.
It's that wealth in the kitchen. Ooh, giving that wisdom passed down from generation to generation. A little nugget. They say experience is the best teacher, but I say experience can be the teacher of fools, because a wise man will look to see what another man does, to see what he will choose. That wealth in the kitchen.